Hello and welcome to Last Epoch University. This is a series that I have done a few times now where I bring you through not just the basics of the game, but also some of the more detailed stuff so you can have a better understanding of how to play Last Epoch. It is a pretty in-depth game, and without guides, it can be pretty challenging to learn it on your own. So this is a chance for you to have most of that information, at least, in one set of videos that you can watch at your leisure, even while you're playing the game, and really start to get down, what it is to play Last Epoch, what the game has to offer, and how to go about doing all the things you can do, including making a build and how itemization works, etc. So that's what we will cover. In lesson 1, we're going to start with the basics. These are the really early things about, do I even want to play the game? Do I want to buy this game? Or if you've already bought it, where do I get started? How do I choose a class, etc. Before we get into that, though, let's talk about me. Who am I? For most of you, you wouldn't know who I am because you probably haven't been playing this game. I am a Last Epoch streamer and content creator. I'm also a writer for Maxroll, both on the Last Epoch and Diablo 4 branch. I have played the game since late alpha, which is over 4 years ago now, which is kind of crazy to think that, given that 1.0 is upon us. And I've logged over 5,000 hours of playtime in the game, so I do have a decent understanding of how to play it. I am also a community tester, which just means that the developers of Last Epoch 11th Hour Games have a set number of people, which is quite a large number of people, who test their game under NDA, before it gets released, so that any bugs or any features that maybe are underwhelming, we can give feedback on it and help them make the game as good as possible. So that's who I am. Let's go ahead, though, and get into what we're all here for. You're not here for me specifically, but for what I can tell you about the game. So first off, what is Last Epoch? If with this being 1.0, a lot of people are looking at the game and probably don't fully understand exactly what it is. Maybe you've already played ARPGs, maybe you haven't, but to compare, this is in the same genre as games like Diablo 4 and Path of Exile. So people who play those games are likely to be interested in this one, but anyone who just likes deep character building or looting or action combat are probably going to be interested in this, might find this game appealing. The game just released into 1.0. In fact, it will not have released quite when this goes live. This will probably go out a few weeks before 1.0, but most people will probably be looking at this either in preparation for 1.0 or after 1.0 to know what they are doing. But it being 1.0, it is still far from a finished product. That is because this is a live service style game, which most of the games nowadays in this genre are. Diablo is, Path of Exile is. Diablo has seasons and Path of Exile has leagues. These are cyclical periods of time where they give you new content and they also give you a fresh start. Everyone can have a fresh start on a server and they can play through the new content together, all from the same spot. And this game is going to have that too. They're calling them cycles. So every 3 months there will be new content and there will be the opportunity to do a fresh start, although you won't have to. You can do that with everyone. There's leaderboards, etc. So they'll be very similar to Diablo 4 and PoE, which means this game is far from finished because every new cycle will bring more content. The game is also single player and multiplayer as of 0.9, which was about a year ago. It became a multiplayer game, so you can play it solo or you can play it with friends. It also has offline and online, although I believe you still have to log in to play offline, but once you've done so, you won't have to interact with the servers anymore. The current features in LE, or what it offers, is going to be an important thing for anyone who's looking at the game, but even anyone who's trying to figure out what to do. So first off, there are 5 base classes with 15 mastery classes. Base classes are just the starting class, and then mastery classes are where you go from there. So like every new character will have a base class that you start as an acolyte. And at some point fairly early in the game, you'll get to choose between 3 mastery classes. Every class as of 1.0 now has 3 mastery classes. So Acolyte would have Necromancer, they would have Lich, and they would have the new Warlock. So you would choose a base class, and then later on you would choose a mastery class. And that's how you create your overall class that you choose to play. A large portion of the campaign is done, but it's not complete. This was intentional by the devs. This was not what they considered to be a 1.0 necessity, I guess you could say. And for most games in this genre, that would be generally true. Path of Exile hadn't finished theirs by the time they hit their 1.0. It'll be the same for Last Epoch, but generally, more or less, the campaign will still make sense before the end game. So it does work out pretty well. Speaking of the end game, it has 3 end game systems currently. It has the Monolith of Fate, which is the major one. It has the dungeon system, and then it has the arena system, which is the more competitive one, but also has some other end game content for regular players. The game has a deep character building system, including passive trees, and every skill has its own skill tree, which is my favorite thing about the game. So if you are someone who likes to experiment with making builds and taking a class and seeing what you can do with it and experimenting with skills and just really playing around with your character, this game is going to have plenty of that for you to do, like 5,000 plus hours worth for you to do, in fact. It has extensive itemization with a lot of different types of items that are all rewarding to go and try to acquire. You will not have a problem with finding enough things to keep you interested as far as loot goes. And along with that, it has a very deep crafting system, which is not so deep that it's hard to understand like PoEs, but still offers you a lot of opportunity to improve your gear in ways that are meaningful and satisfying. As of 1.0, it also has trading if you choose the right faction, with a bazaar, which is basically like an auction house, but there's no timed auctions on it. It's just put it on there and put your item on there, and then someone buys it, or just buy something from someone who's already listed. So anyone who likes trading, as of 1.0, you will have that. Again, if you're watching this right before it, it won't be available yet, but February 21st, it will be. Speaking of factions, the trading system is built into the faction. We have multiple game modes, including factions. Also hardcore, softcore, something like solo self-found is also an option. So there's something probably for just about everyone that's an ARPG fan that likes these sorts of things. The faction system is something basically new. It also has a loot filter, which if you're not someone who's played in this genre, you might not understand what that means, but basically Diablo-like games like Path of Exile have a lot of loot, just a lot of stuff that drops on the ground, and it can get very overwhelming if you don't have a way to filter those items. Right now, Diablo 4 doesn't, and it can be pretty tedious to try to pick up the items. Last Epoch doesn't have that problem. It has a very extensive loot filter that is highly customizable and also can be traded. Trade is not the right word, but like someone can give you their loot filter. For example, all the max roll builds, we have a loot filter already built in to all of our guides, so you can just download the filter and then put it on your in your folder for your loot filters, and then you have it. There are also leaderboards, which are connected to the arena. So for people who are competitive, there's plenty of opportunity to be competitive in the game. And as we mentioned earlier, there is multiplayer. And of course, there's a lot more. There's way more than we could talk about in just a quick feature list. Okay, so you know kind of what the game offers, but how much does it cost? And how much is it going to cost? And how much could it cost you in total if you were to buy all the things you need? Because this is a question we have to ask in the modern day with all kinds of things being sold after the fact. So as far as Last Epoch goes, it has a $35 box price, which will not change at launch. They have locked that in. If you buy it at 1.0, it will be $35. If you buy it before that, it will be $35. They also have cosmetic MTXs, which also include supporter packs. So there are packs of multiple MTXs that you can buy for a cost, and also comes with some cosmetic points. If you've done any sort of MTX, you're probably pretty familiar with this. Your real money turns into cosmetic points, which you can then use to buy cosmetic items. That does exist in this game. They do have that. However, they don't have any pay to win, any pay for power, any pay for convenience, no stash tabs, nothing like that. It is purely cosmetic, and they've taken a hardline stance on this every single time it's been brought up, that they will never sell even stash tabs, even convenience. They will never go farther than cosmetics. So hopefully they can hold that and stick to that. But so far for 4 years, they have done so, and they've released their shop, their MTX shop, and it has nothing but cosmetics in it. So for now, the only thing that you have to pay is $35 to have the full experience of the game. And then if you want to look extra cool, you can buy some cosmetics. All right, so we've compared Diablo 4 and PoE a few times here. what is the overall comparison? Obviously, there's so many things we could compare between each of these games. You go down to the granular, just fine detail. But for the overall experience, what can you expect to be different? For Diablo 4, the last Epoch is much deeper. Diablo 4 is a much more, quote-unquote, basic ARPG at this point in its life cycle. It's still pretty new. They're, of course, adding on things, so it will hopefully get deeper. But from crafting to itemization to endgame, Last Epoch just offers more. From character building, theory crafting, just so much more than Diablo 4 has to offer right now. So if you're looking for a deeper experience than Diablo 4, Last Epoch is going to be able to offer that for you. As far as Path of Exile, which is a very, very, very deep game, the thing that makes Last Epoch stand out is it's much less complicated. There's a lot of depth, not as much as Path of Exile because it's got 10 years plus of development and league after league after league, so there's definitely more in Path of Exile right now. But Last Epoch is far more approachable than Path of Exile, while still offering a lot of depth compared to Diablo 4. So that's where it stands, kind of in between Diablo 4 and PoE as far as depth and complexity, giving you a nice balance between the two. All right, so we talked a bit about game modes before, but what are those and like how do they actually relate to what you might want to do? So softcore and hardcore, I think a lot of people are probably familiar with what this means. Softcore means if you die, you're not done. You just respawn and continue to go. Hardcore means if you die, it's it. Your character's done. It's all over. I think it does go into like a ghost realm, but outside of that, you're not playing on the hardcore environment anymore. You won't be on the hardcore leaderboards, etc. There's also standard and something like Soul Self-Found. It's not called that right now. It's called something else, but the big difference here is on standard, you can play multiplayer. You'll be able to, if you're in the faction, you'll be able to trade. And Soul Self-Found, you won't be able to do either of those things. And I do believe for 1.0, there will be 2 different ways you can do this. One where you share a stash with your other characters, and one where you don't. I'll have to check and make sure that's actually the case. As of right now, you are always sharing your stash with other characters that are also Soul Self-Found. But I do think they're going to offer 2 options there. Okay, as far as factions go, we've talked about that. This is a 1.0 feature that does not exist until February 21st. But there's 2 factions you will choose to join from. You choose one or the other. Merchant's Guild is for those who want to trade. Use the Bazaar, which is the auction house-like thing that allows you to trade through that. You can search for people's items. You can post your own items on there to sell to them. You'll use gold, and that will be the trade environment. There's a lot more to that than just a pure trading. There's a reputation you can build with them to allow you to trade more and more things. But overall, the Merchant's Guild's purpose is for those people who like to trade. The Circle of Fortune is the opposite. It's for those people who don't want to trade, but don't want to feel like they are significantly disadvantaged from doing so. Some games are balanced for trade, and if you play in a Soul Self-Found environment, you will find that some items become basically, you can't acquire them. That's just not going to happen. Circle of Fortune is Last Epoch's way of sort of combating that, giving you something that is advantageous to your ability to hunt for items without trading. So the whole system is built around both reputation and prophecies. And prophecies are these things that you can go and acquire through a special currency within the Circle of Fortune, and use that to hunt for rewards. You'll do certain content and get specific rewards that you already know you're going to get beforehand. So we'll go into this a lot more in the final lesson on the LE University series. But for now, that's what's going to be between either you want to trade or you don't want to trade, and that's where you'll choose, but you'll still have rewards either way. And by the way, if your friend wants to trade and you don't, you can still play together. It's a nice really little extra benefit of the faction system. You can be Circle of Fortune, they can be Merchant's Guild, and you can still party up. There are some restrictions on giving each other items, but as far as actually playing the game together, it can still happen. Okay. This is a big topic for most players that are starting the game. Like, what class do I play? And of course, this is a very subjective thing. It depends on your goals. Do you want to play the most powerful thing? Do you want to play something thematic to like a style that you like? Of course, I can't answer this for you, but I can give you some information at least on the thematics of it. And then if you're looking for things like power, like what is the most powerful thing to play, what's the fastest thing, I do recommend heading over to Max Roll and checking out the build guides and also checking out the tier lists, and that'll give you some really good information on that. But as far as thematics, if you're just like, hey, I want to play a really fast character with daggers, like well, that's Rogue, and I'll explain to you why here. So that's what we'll do now. So let's start with the Acolyte. The Acolyte is going to cover the masteries of the Lich, the Necromancer, and the Warlock. So these are the dark arts. This is for the person who wants to dabble in the darker side of magic. Lich focuses around physical, necrotic, and poison. Its big thing is it has a Reaper form. That's his big mastery skill. So she can convert into Reaper form and then do a lot of different things with that. The Necromancer, as you'd imagine, focuses on minions, and it's a very, very strong class for minions. If you come from Diablo 4 and you find yourself underwhelmed with how the minions are, I don't think you'll have that problem in Last Epoch. Minions are exceptionally strong right now. Necromancer is definitely a very powerful mastery. So you'll get that thematic feel here, undoubtedly. Warlock, which is one of the 2 new masteries for 1.0, focuses more on damage over time than the other 2. That's like kind of its primary thing. It's just a lot of damage over time stuff. Okay, Mage, as you can imagine, it's a magic user, not the dark arts, more the elemental side. The masteries are Sorcerer, Spellblade, and Rune Master. Rune Master is new as of last patch, so it's in the game before 1.0, but hasn't been in for very long. All of them are elemental damage focused. The Sorcerer is more of a range class, typically. The Spellblade is more of a melee. The Rune Master itself is pretty unique. There's not really much of anything like it, at least baseline in the genre. There are some things like it in other genres. But what it does is it combines runes to create spells. So you will cast spells, and they will put runes. They'll give you runes. They'll give you up to 3 runes. You have a combination of 3 runes, and they're based on element type. And then there's another spell that you will cast that will look at the runes and determine based upon what types you have, how many, in what order, what spell it will cast. So it's a pretty cool, pretty unique mastery class. The Primalist is kind of a combination of a bunch of things. So the masteries kind of give it away. Beastmaster, Shaman, and Druid. Beastmaster is generally focused on pets. It's also pretty melee heavy. So if you like pets, like if you want to have a bear or a pack of wolves or even a raptor, that's the class that you're probably going to go with. The Shaman is more of an elemental spell focused, specifically cold and lightning damage, but it also can do some melee stuff. The thing about mastery classes, I should probably point this out earlier, is that they're pretty flexible. So even though something is more focused on that, doesn't mean that's how you'll end up playing it. But that's typically how it goes. And the Druid is all about transformation. So you can become a werebear, you can become a literal bug, and you can become a tree. Like those are the 3 transformations you currently have. All these mastery classes for Primalist can use some sort of combination of Fizz, Ele, and Poison as their primary damage types, with Shaman tending to be a lot more elemental, but also a bit physical. All right, the last 2 classes are Rogue, with the masteries of Blade Dancer, Marksman, and Falconer, and Sentinel with Void Knight, Forge Guard, Paladin. So let's start with Rogue. Blade Dancer is a melee style build that tends to be very fast. Marksman's more of a range. And Falconer is the other new one for 1.0, and its primary thing is it has a pet falcon that can't die, and can use skills, and it also has a lot of trap-based play on it. So all of these can use many damage types. Oftentimes you'll see physical, you'll see poison, sometimes you'll even see ignite, you'll see bleeds. They have quite a few options in the Rogue toolkit. And Falconer being one of the new ones is going to be pretty popular. Sentinel is your typical like warrior style. We got masteries that are Void Knight, Forge Guard, and Paladin. 2 of those are fairly unique, I'd say. Paladin is fairly typical. The Void Knight focuses on Void and physical. Void is a specific damage type and type of enemy in the game. It's purple. Void Knight also has a tendency to have a lot of time-based stuff in it, a lot of skills that are focused around time, so like bring you back in time or pushing you forward in time, mostly bringing you back. The Forge Guard is a physical mastery that also does some throwing stuff and has it's actually the minion build for Sentinel, which is kind of cool. It can do it can summon weapons, and it can also summon like a I'm forgetting the name of it now. It can summon a big suit of armor effectively to fight for you. And then the Paladin is more of a fire-based, also physical build, or a class that has healing. That is pretty much what you'd expect from a Paladin. It's a pretty cool class. It does a pretty good job of it. Sentinel is also the best class with shields, and as I mentioned, there's several throwing attack options, which actually can be used throughout all the masteries. You can make a void throwing, you can make a fire throwing pally, you can make a throwing minion build. There's a lot of variety in the Sentinel class. Okay, so that's all of the classes. Let's go from here into the current content, which I believe is the last part of this, and then we'll wrap that up and get into some of the deeper stuff in the next lessons. So, as far as the current content goes, you have the campaign. Right now it's 9 chapters. It's going to be a total of 12, I believe, when they're done, but we're at 9 so far. That's going to give you quite a bit of content itself. I think for new players, it'll easily be 10 plus hours. 3 endgame systems. The arena, the dungeon, the monolith. We'll go into these in more detail later. But just for a quick and dirty, Monolith of Fate is the primary endgame system that's most closely related to mapping and Path of Exile, but still quite a bit different. Where you'll do individual maps called echoes, and you'll use that to build up and conquer timelines, which will give you a lot of rewards and have a boss at the end of them. The dungeon system is it's kind of its own thing, where it's literally you go into a dungeon, you run a few maps that have some modifiers on them, and at the end there's a boss. You kill the boss, and then there's a special reward like mechanic at the end. So, for example, one of them, the Temporal Sanctum, allows you to make legendaries, which are something we'll talk about later, which are one of the really endgame focused type things for like trying to quote unquote finish your build, get a lot of power out of them. You can take the unique items in the game and the exalted items and kind of smash them together, and that's how you make a legendary. You get some of the affixes off the exalted and put them on a unique item. The last one is the arena. The arena is more or less for competitive stuff. You want to see how many waves you can do compared to others. There's a leaderboard for it. There is some other content that's not competitive focused in the arena, but it's pretty minimal. So it's mostly going to be about competitiveness. As far as other content goes, beyond the endgame systems and the campaign, you've got the endless build making and theory crafting possibilities that this game provides through the skill trees and the passive trees and all the gearing, which is the thing that's got me playing for 5,000 plus hours in this game and still going. There is the robust, fairly recently reworked crafting system. It's not that recent anymore, but it's probably, a year or two ago, which has been very, very well received, and it's just a lot of fun to engage with. And then the deep itemization, with lots of chase endgame items that gets even deeper as they go. Even last patch, they added some stuff to that called experimental affixes. We'll get into that more during the itemization lesson. And then, as we mentioned before, there's the factions with their own rewards and progression, and there's quite a bit of both rewards and progressions in that system. Okay, so the question, if you haven't already, is should you buy Last Epoch? And the answer, of course, is, well, did this appeal to you? Did you come from Diablo 4 or Path of Exile? Did you not come from them, but you like everything you hear? You like the idea of this itemization, character building stuff. You like all the action. You like all the classes. That's pretty much what you have to answer, I would say. Like $35, like for some people, yeah, that might be a little expensive, but I think for most people, they can probably afford that. So $35 is going to get you a lot of content in this game. It's gotten me 5,000 hours worth of content. So not everyone's going to be like that, of course. I'm pretty unusual, but even for the typical person, I think 100 plus hours is easy, and getting 1,000 or more out of it over the next 5 to 10 years for people who find themselves really enjoying RPGs shouldn't be unusual at all. So yeah, that's the question you have to answer. For me, of course, I think you should buy it, but I am definitely biased. Okay, thank you so much for watching this first lesson. Lesson 2 will be coming up soon. Of course, all 10 lessons will be available very soon. You can check out my Twitch and Discord in the description below. I would love to have you, especially 1.0. I'll be pushing real hard on 1.0. possibly doing some leaderboard stuff, probably doing some trading stuff. Going to do just about everything though. So, and we of course have a Discord where there's already a pretty good community of players of this game that hang out, ask questions, talk about the game. So feel free to join us on that too. Again, thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you in lesson 2. Hope to see you in Last Epoch, and have a great rest of your day.